First, before I begin, I'm wondering, I speak a lot in Central Ohio and Columbus, and we're a little bit removed from that. Has anyone here heard of Pelotonia yet? Just maybe a show of hands. Awesome. I think that's like really cool. So Pelotonia's one goal, and that's very simple, and it's to end cancer. It's a made-up term. It's something that was inspired by the Pan Mass Challenge, which, for really lack of a better term, is a bike-a-thon. It's not something that we call it or refer to it, but it is just that. And what it really comes down to is community and leadership, and each of us getting up and doing something truly selfless, and something that not only is good for ourselves, both emotionally and physically, but good for our families, good for our friends, and again, good for the community. So I was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2007, and I was 40. And although that seems like it's far off for many of you here, and as you've heard before, it's on you. It will happen quicker than you realize, and that is getting older. But 40 is actually quite young. It's very active, a couple of small children. I had a great career. I went into the doctor, and as the story goes, I heard those three words, which are just terrible, and they're every bit worse than you could ever imagine, and that is, you have cancer. And I won't forget when I heard that I had cancer, and that was at the office. And when you hear that, or you hear someone say, you'll be at a loss for words for this, or I heard this, or I heard that, and I was at a loss for words, it's exactly what happened. And I opened up my mouth to acknowledge it, and nothing came out. And it was really, really, it was terrible. So, went to Ohio State. Ohio State's got a great cancer program, took very good care of me. Had chemo, radiation each day. Chemo was a bit bumpy. My liver didn't really enjoy it so much, and rejected it after a while, and I went off it, and then I went on it, and got to surgery, and really had a very, very good mindset throughout the process. When they tell you to be positive, it's easy to say, and oftentimes very difficult to do. But I worked out, and it was good for my body, but it was really even better for my mind. I went into surgery prepared. I thought it was my obligation to present myself as best I could to the physicians who were taking really good care of me. They did. Right after surgery, results kind of came back, and they said that I was cancer-free. And there wasn't any evidence of the cancer in the specimen, as they say. And from there, I got better and went home and naively thought that this thing was over. And the one thing that I've learned throughout this process is, although I am cured of cancer today, and I've had a lot of bumps along the way, and misdiagnoses, and I was told I had a recurrence, and it wasn't absolutely true, wasn't true at all, cancer will never leave me, and it will never leave my mind. And I say oftentimes that if I live to be an old man, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to me. And then it's made me much, much stronger. So I got back into the office, and we had a good thing going at Abercrombie & Fitch. There was a lot of action. I worked with the media and some Wall Street, did some other fun stuff. We always seemed to be getting into trouble. And as the PR guy, that's good news. That's what you want to have happen. So we worked through that, and as the story goes, Ohio State was in the midst of working out an arrangement or a deal with a local company. And that company made a $12.5 million gift to fund a concept. And that concept was, hey, if they're doing this ride up in Boston, and they've raised over $300 million over the last 30 some odd years, why can't we do it here? So I met with the head of the cancer program, Mike Caligieri, who's been out to Kenyon a number of times, and he asked me if I'd like to lead this. And initially, I really didn't want to. I didn't know that that was what my calling was. And maybe you'll hear this or find this out as we speak, but there's nothing more true This is what I'm here to do. And I've learned that. So, Tom, do you want to do this? And I'm like, Mike, you know, I appreciate everything that's happened. I've got a good thing going. I don't know that I'm ready for that. And then I started to think on my own about what I could do and how we could make this different, how we could make it cool, how we could make it efficient, and how we could do things differently at Pelotonia that are done at some of the many other amazing businesses, nonprofit organizations, you name it. And what I knew we had to do was, as all great businesses and brands do, is differentiate the product and differentiate the experience. So at that point in time, it was Bike Event LLC, or NewCo, as we called it. It's what every new business is called. And we went on the road, and we started to think about conceptually what we would do. And I was inspired by the term Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza is a great music festival. It's in the summer. It's in a field. There are great people there. You have a couple of beers, you listen to some music, and there are no words. And it was essentially, they made this term up or borrowed this term, and that's what it means to me and a lot of other people. So we went through the process. We understood, as many do that ride bikes, that the Peloton is the group that rides together. And the reason people ride together in a tight pack is because it's a heck of a lot easier. You only have to spend 70% of your energy than you would if you were riding by yourself. So it's efficient. So we thought what we would do is we would take the IA, which reflects the state of, and attach it to Peloton and make up this word Pelotonia, which people today can't even pronounce. And my wife told me the day that we selected it, it was a loser, and it wasn't going to work. But we wanted it to be mysterious. And we wanted it to reflect the community coming together to do something amazing. Our one goal is to cure cancer. So we went to the graphics guys who we worked very close with, an outfit it was in New York. They donated their time. We went through the color schemes and how could we present this as being very optimistic and very cheery, and what are the things that we could do to sort of intrigue people. And so we have the name, we have the marketing platform or the scheme, we built the website, which are really our tools, which enable us, as you guys know very well, to go out through email and to have friends ask friends for donations. Now the beauty of what we had going is we were funded, and we were fortunate to be funded. So what that enabled us to say, and we are still able to say today, is that when you ride in Pelotonia, and I'll run through that in a bit, but when you ride in Pelotonia, every dollar that you have donated to you goes to research. There's no expense ratio. 100% of every rider-raised dollar goes directly to research at The Ohio State University. And that's pretty cool. So you don't have to worry about money coming out to pay for the jerseys and the chicken sandwiches and the security and the music and the beer and all of those other things that make this a pretty special experience. So the way this thing works is we go out and we empower people and we motivate people and we encourage them to be part of this solution. Our unfortunate advantage is that rarely, if ever, will we ever go to a room where someone isn't sitting there and can identify with what we're talking about. 1 in 2 men will have cancer, and 1 in 3 women will have cancer. That's 40% of the room. So our charge, our goal, is to make sure that your kids and my kids don't have to deal with it like we do. And that's what makes me go. We ask that our riders raise anywhere from $1,200 to $2,200. That's the hurdle. Well, there are 2. 1, you have to have a bike. 2, you have to agree to raise money. In 4 years, I don't know of one person who's tried and hasn't been able to raise their money. Average rider raises 30% more than we ask. If you're on a team, someone raises more, you can share with someone who raises less. The point is, we have things in place that help you get to win. Get to your goal, get to win, so you come out and you ride and you celebrate. So what this really comes down to is you can ride, you can volunteer, you can virtual ride, you can do this, you can cheer, you can do that. It is for the people, it is owned by the people, and it is very, very effective. In the first year, we were told that we wouldn't have 200 riders, and we went out and we attracted 2,265 riders. We invited the community to participate, and unless you were a family member or a very dear friend of mine, you were invited. If you were a family member, you were strongly encouraged. We raised $4.5 million. In the second year, we raised $8 million. In the third year, we raised $13 million. Last year, we raised $17 million, which totals to $42 million right now off of a $10 million investment. And these are compelling returns for any type of business. This year, we're projecting about 7,400 riders, half of which will touch down here at Kenyon for the halfway mark. And we think we can raise between $20 and $21 million. So what does that mean? In the very beginning, when we told it was going to be very difficult, we didn't accept it. We went out, and off of a pro forma or projection in year one, when it was just NUCO and Bike Event LLC, and nobody thought we would raise the $39 million, there were enough of us out there. There were enough leaders. And we use that term every day in our office. And it's about someone getting up who's a little bit angry, who's a little bit fed up, who may be ticked off, and it's about doing something. And we go out and we invite you to be part of it. We've done about, after 5 years, we'll do 62 million versus the 39 that no one thought we could do. And the interesting thing is, as I was working through this, I learned a little bit about who I am and about what I can do to be a better leader. And the reality is, if this works in Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio State is a great school, it's a great cancer program, it's a great cancer hospital, and they've been very good to me. They're very protective of Pelotonia, as they should be. But if we raise $62 million in Columbus, Ohio, we got to be able to do it in other cities as well. And that's my new charge. And it's something I'm working on. And we'll get there. So what this really comes down to is, in order to do something truly extraordinary, as one guy said, you have to do it with enthusiasm. And that's what our people do. And they're selfless, and they're kind, and they're caring, and they're not writing big checks. Our average donation was $52. This works. We've just had 135,000 or so of them. And they add up, and they're meaningful, and they're doing something good for you and for me. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you think about this, and you think about the financial commitment, and the fact is that you have to raise $1,500, and if you don't, your credit card gets hit. And that's the reality. That's the game here. But if I told you that we'd help you get there, and we wouldn't let you fail, who would be interested in riding to cure cancer? Raise your hand. And that's why we win, together. Thank you for having me. Good luck.